and welcome to the Nature Codes podcast. I'm Amira Daly, an energy healer and mentor. I deliver inspirational tips and shares on how to welcome nature into your life to inspire transformation. I will share with you guidance, tips, and interviews to nurture that special bond between you, the universe, and nature. Hello, welcome back to the Nature Codes. I'm so happy to be here. I didn't record an episode last week, and that is because my energy levels were low and I just really wanted to concentrate on me and getting myself back into shape. But also through that, something came up that I still don't know if I've completely sorted out yet. And I'd love to hear your views on this topic because I'm sure a lot of people can resonate. I feel like I have a very lunar cycle. So it's also to do with my periods and the lows and the highs that come with those. And my voice feels like it wants to come through at certain times of the month. So just after I've finished my period, I get this like real energetic high for at least a week, 10 days. And then I start to like slowly dissipate, like my energy levels become lower, and I'm sure it's the same with most people. And so during that time, what doesn't match up is the calling of places like social media, like Instagram, podcasts. All of these things actually say that to get a good following, you have to be consistent. And this consistency does not factor in our own bodies and how our energy works. And back in, tribal times and back in our past history, we would have a couple of weeks of rest during the year. And then we would put all of our energy into those 2 weeks where we were all feeling like the high energy levels to do with the lunar cycles and women's menstruation. And so I feel like there's a bit of a gap there where I don't think, I think unintentionally or intentionally, depending on your views, the social media experience does not take that into account and is going with the more patriarchal view of work hard every single day, show up, be consistent, when actually our internal rhythms are telling us the opposite. And so I'd love to hear your feedback on how women and people in general, everyone has times when their energy is a bit low and they want to be more introverted. How do we then marry up social media with that kind of life cycle? I'd love to hear your thoughts. I might start recording longer episodes and then split them into two so that I can take those couple of weeks of not showing up. Having said that, I'm showing up today, even when this is my kind of lower energy levels, just to make that point. But also, I wanted to take you on my journey of understanding this myself, and I really think it will resonate with a lot of people. I have also been, because it's autumn here, it's the start of autumn, I have all my life had a cycle of SAD symptoms which start once the nights start drawing in and it becomes a lot darker. I am definitely, even more so now through my spiritual journey, my soul really resonates with the sun. Like, I feel like I've got sun energy. I feel like I'm completely drawn to the sun and the moon. for other areas, but my energy, and I'm sure a lot of people's energy, comes from the sun. And so when the sun feels that little bit further away and we have a little less access to the sun, I feel like my body kind of goes into like hibernate. And I think partially that's a good thing because we're going into those autumn winter months when we're meant to be slowing down. We're meant to be like planting seeds, like we're meant to be like, reflecting on our spring and summer and like the harvest. We're meant to be like understanding what happened and like reflecting on stuff and like removing anything that's not flowing with us. And then the start of spring, like looking into planting those seeds again for the harvest again in summer. So that all makes total sense. But my SAD was so strong that I felt depressed, anxious, like I literally could not get out of bed. Like it was so extreme. And I don't have that anymore. And that has successfully been massively reduced by energy work and the work that I'm doing now on myself. And so I feel like because I've been removing those trauma layers, those emotional blocks, those kinks in the system for so long now, the darkness doesn't have much to cling on to. So those darker days, I've shed so much that there's less for it to cling on to. And so I feel that in turn, that kind of tells me that my SAD was actually an alarm bell that was telling myself and also now telling other people that there's layers that need to be removed and that winter is showing us that. Whether that be past life trauma, whether that be ancestral trauma, whether that be trauma from this life, whether that be inner child work, there's so many different layers, and on each level there's so many different layers within that. And so it's again that analogy of peeling back the onion, there's so many layers to be removed. And if you manage to remove the bulk of what you're meant to be removing in this lifetime, you will start to see that your mood shifts, the anxiety becomes less. You're able to get yourself out of that cycle, and I'm definitely seeing that at the moment. And there's definitely still a lot to be done because I still feel that like real lowness, and I'm constantly in a state of trying to release that energy, and it, the darkness doesn't have such a hold on me anymore, but a bit still does, because obviously there's always something to remove. And so I feel like I'm at a place now where it's much easier to get myself out of the SAD, and the steps that I'm taking at the minute to like minimize its impact are I'm doing huge amounts of grounding work. So even though it's wet and it's dark and the floor is muddy and cold, I'm still going outside barefoot. I'm still, every time I walk out the door, as long as I'm not getting in a car or you're like going somewhere, in my own garden, I am walking around barefoot, and I will keep doing that for as long as possible, because I think the more that you are in contact with the ground, the better. I also noticed that when I woke up yesterday, which was a sunnier day, I woke up and I just looked at the sun. Now, I know that this can cause issues because you're not meant to be staring at the sun, but I think when the sun is so low and it's rising and you don't look at it for too long, I kind of almost partly look at it. I think sun gazing is actually wonderful for your energy levels and your vitamin D levels within your body. So whenever there is a winter's day where the sun is out at sunrise or sunset, I will like engage with the sun and just like take in the sun's rays a bit more. I've also been asking the central sun. So we've got a sun, but there's a central sun of the universe that I talk to and ask for the energy from that sun to be shown to me so that I can feel like I am getting some external sun during the day as well. But also, I feel like it's an analogy, right? When you are dimmed, the light within you is dimmed, and so the more you can bring out your light internally so you can be the sun, the less you are in need of that. So I feel like I need to shine bright in the winter. Like I need to work on myself to shine bright so I'm not so reliant on the sun. And I think that is also part of what happens in autumn and winter. We're less reliant on the sun, and that is showing us that we need to shine bright within ourselves. And so, yeah, I am grounding. I am also doing yoga. So I'm doing yoga outside with no shoes on. I put a towel out so that it absorbs some of the moisture from the grass so I don't get too wet. But I'm doing at least 15 minutes of yoga every morning at the moment, and that is making a huge, well, it's really shifting my energy. Another thing that I am doing is I'm not following a yoga video, which I used to before. And I think partly because I've done it for so long, I kind of know what moves work with my body. So now I'm intuitively listening to my body and doing the moves that I feel is right at that specific time. So I'm not tuned into someone else's routine. I'm kind of from what I already know, creating my own that I think supports my body better. And I think that also, that little shift has made a big difference too. So I also went to our spiritualist evening, which happens once a month near me. And I sat down with a tarot reader that I've been using for a couple of years now. And he told me that I needed to embrace music. And so I kind of came home and thought about what that meant for me, and I agree that that does shift me into more high vibrational and it increases my energy. So I've made a Spotify list that is only high vibes. So it's anything that really resonates with me and gets me into that like high vibrational state. And I've got maybe like 10 songs on there that I know shift my energy. And then I put it on in the morning and I walk around and I sing and I dance. And, you know, just before I start work or do anything that needs my focus and my energy, I try and actively shift my energy. And then yesterday I spent most of the day with these songs on and I noticed such a huge difference. Like I had so much more energy in the evening, I had so much more energy during the day, and I really shifted myself from like that low energy of waking up on a dark morning into having so much more internal energy available to me. So I think finding that thing that really increases your high vibes is massive. Like whether that be, I don't know, yeah, dancing, singing, I don't know what else is there, running, you know, anything that you've noticed increases your vibration and gives you that internal energy that you can use. So I hope I've kind of given you a few things that can really help shift the energy of that transition from the summer to autumn, because it feels like quite an abrupt, especially in the UK, it feels like quite an abrupt shift when you get into September. And I know a lot of people, even if you don't have SAD, struggle with that transition. So yeah, I hope that's really helped you kind of, well, with me, I'm still trying to understand it and trying to really regulate it in some way. So yeah, I hope that that really helps. And in future episodes, I will be sharing more about that, because I feel like the depths of winter is another transition. What I would say is, though, that if you are really struggling with it, I would really look into energy work and shifting those layers of emotion and trauma through energy work, because that is the main thing that massively helped me. Like at the moment, I am only increasing my vibrations and able to do that because I've done so much work on my past life, inner child, ancestral work. And so, yeah, I hope this inspires you to find your way out of any low symptoms that you might be struggling with this winter. Sending so much love. Thank you so much for listening. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please subscribe to the Nature Codes podcast so you never miss an episode. If you enjoy what I'm sharing, please rate and leave a review so that other nature lovers can find me too. And lastly, follow me on Instagram at The Nature Codes for more inspiring free content, as well as access to all of my programs.